Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Ben the Human Plays Vagrus the Riven Realms. Last time, we helped Gorgoro beat his nemesis Kraggorn in the arena, chopped his head off, and then we made our way over to Tectum Karvos and pushed that quest over the limit as far as getting them ready to fight the worms. We need to go talk. In the process, we got absolutely devastated. The worms ate all of my workers, and now we're kind of in a tight spot with regards to being understaffed. I think what we can do is we can push to the last oasis. Or maybe, honestly, we should probably just head back to Larnak. Because, like, this is 3 to 5 days, but Larnak will have way more labor. And if we can get back to Larnak, we can kind of sort out our people. We might have to do some forced marching in there to get there relatively intact. Might have to do some beatings along the way. But I think we'll be able to make it work. Before we go, though, we need to talk to the prince and the other leaders to move the quest along. So let's go to the meeting of the leaders of the city's defenders. Apart from Prince Karim and Kral Hystera, some prominent worm hunter captains, influential merchants, and the general in charge of the Tarkian forces are also present at the meeting. Welcome, and thank you all for coming, the prince begins. As you know, it has fallen to us here in this room to organize the defenses of Tectum Karvos and against an unrelenting, abominable enemy with seemingly endless numbers. What a way to raise everyone's spirits, the Kral interjects quietly. Yes, well, I wanted everyone here to understand the stakes, my dear Kral, the prince says with a smile. At any rate, with the help of the Vagrus here, as well as some others, we are now safe and snug in our entrenched position. But for how long? Weeks? Months? This is funny because it's taken me like 4 years to get to this point, so... Anyway, and even that without being able to transport people and goods to and fro. A temporary breather at best, enough to lull us into a false sense of security, I say. Affirmative murmurs ripple across the war room. And for this reason, my friends, I bring you on this auspicious day a plan that the Kral and I have concocted to pluck us out of our predicament. You are listening intently. Everyone else does too, and once Prince Karim has made sure that all eyes in the room are upon him, he begins. The plan is to draw the worms into a decisive battle and beat them once and for all. The attendees begin to argue and protest almost immediately, but the prince silences them with a hand held high. I know what you're thinking, friends, I know. We are in a deadlock. The worms can't get in, but we can't get out onto the sand because there they have an edge. They are practically invisible until it is too late, but there may be ways to draw them out of the sand and keep them there, preventing their escape. For that to succeed, we have to lure as much of them as possible here, all of them if we can, and then spring the trap. The Kral puts a thick, leather-bound codex on the table, and Prince Karim points at it. We found the account of a similar war against the worms, penned by my ancestors from 250 years ago. In that conflict, the Sadirar are mentioned to have fought alongside us Tarkians, and they, he opens the book at a marked page and reads, shook the writhing worms out of the sand with earthquake and gale. Evidently, the Sadirar shamans of today are our best chance to beat the creatures, the Kral says. Oh, that was the Kral. And so we need to contact them, appeal for their aid. We also need an army capable of beating the worms once they are drawn into the trap and are robbed of their ability to flee, the Prince Karim adds. And so the time has come to call in some favors. One such person would be the Magistrate of Crystal, who owes yours truly, the prince begins, to list the people he wishes to recruit for this war. Oh, so that's how you recruit the Magistrate to fight the worms. I was trying to get him to help just with the preparedness. I understand now. Similarly, Prince Lakor, a sovereign of dark elves in exile, is indebted to me, Kral Hystera says, but that one will be more difficult to collect. No ruler wants to hear about owing anyone. Well, I'm also friends with that guy. He must be offered trade concessions, just like our next candidate, the Prefectus of Avernum. I'm also friends with that guy. I'm friends with everybody, apparently. Prince Karim continues, the Avernus Legion under his command is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm afraid we'll be unable to prevail without them. And lastly, we have word of an insectoid race appearing in Larnak, the Kral adds. Everdark, where my people come from, has stories about these Iskori. They are herders of Yergs, and we have reason to believe they have exterminated worm-like creatures in the realms below. I say we get them to join us. And let's not forget the Sadirar shamans, Prince Karim raises a delicate finger. We have no easy way to contact them. Their overtribe with the highest-ranking shamans is up northwest, at the feet of the Mountains of Fire. Someone has to go there and make them listen to our plea for aid. The Kral looks at you meaningfully. There might be perhaps others. Any faction or force that has an interest in this no man's land. But no trading houses. The price would be much too high for their assistance. So much so that we could kiss our own town goodbye. The prince turns to you. If you manage to convince these parties to fight with us, return here. Use whatever necessary. Persuasion, arguments, lies, bribes, promises. But don't give away the town, please. Until then, the Crawl and I will be bolstering our own forces and prepare the trap for the worms. They have addressed everyone in the room, but you are sure that such negotiations will be your responsibility in the present arrangements. You tell them you will get to it. Okay. We will do that. I guess the one thing about heading back to Larnak, well, you know what? We could head to Larnak and then go north to Avernum. We don't have to head to Larnak and then go back all the way around. I think I still want to go to Larnak. Getting back to Larnak is the key to not to getting over this problem that we've found ourselves in. Let us set out into the wasteland. It's going to be a rough go, but we will retrace our steps back to the city. So we will rest. We can fully guard, thankfully. Hopefully our companions will recover. I wonder how much, like, forced marching we should do. Maybe we should try not to forced march much at all. Because we got crap tons of supplies in order to be able to kind of take our time heading back. Basically, I anticipate it'll take twice as long as it should, because we're that understaffed. And I'm afraid to send my workers out to try and salvage stuff, because if any of them die, or oh my lord, if any of them die and we lose, or we lost them, or like lost any vigor, we'd be even more boned. Please do not eat my slaves or my workers. If the Jacques eat our slaves or workers, we're absolutely we're just doomed. The game has it out for me. All right, we're at 83 and 11. Let's try to mount up. Does that help us at all? It doesn't seem like it will. So let's leave our horses out of it, and then go for Cull Their Ranks, my old standby, and fight. This shouldn't be too bad. These guys aren't super strong. Go ahead and poke the guy in the front. Let's boost Nadir. When they're all stacked up like this, I like to try and get 2 fireballs off at once. An insta-kill is pretty awesome. Let's stun this guy in the front. And then just stack up damage on the right side. Another one gone. Moving around. Not too bad. And then a fireball on the left side. Also really good. Look at that. Down to 3 already. Let's... Are you the... You're the stunned one, I think. So maybe we try not to focus fire on him. Maybe stun his brother too. Hope we stunned the wrong one. Ah, he missed me though, nerd. Alright, rush forward and try to kill this guy. And then axe this dude. And then throw a ward under him. And 1 left to go. If we can successfully kill this guy, I don't think I'll have taken any damage. Gorgoro. How could you do this? There we go. Wow, that went really well. Now hopefully the overall fight goes really well too. Please don't touch my workers. Oh, thank God. they ate Harvick. You know what? That is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Too bad it wasn't like bandits or something, and I could have enslaved them and solved all of my worker woes all at once. That would have been pretty nifty. Alas. Alright, I think we'll be able to make it. It's gonna be slow. And we might have to, hopefully we don't have to deal with any worms. Because we fought worms on the way out. I'm hoping that kind of keeps them at bay for now. Very close. Alright, I'm gonna push it to Larnak. I don't think sleeping out on the sands is a good idea. Oh, whew, we made it. Show them your house license. In we go. Holy moly. Alright, buy all the slaves. Buy all the workers. We need the labor desperately. Thank God for that. Alright, well there you go. There's a there's a crash course in how to survive a nightmare situation in Vagrus the Riven Realms. We might not be able to get any more Beasts of Burden either. If we wanted to like take stuff to Avernum, like this one for example. Because we need to clear... Well, how far is Avernum from here? It's seven days to Amphalat. And we have just enough supplies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excuse me. I should be able to take that one. Oh, am I not high enough rep? Ah. Did I lose the rep from the Loaders Guild? Because I asked them to get me in the city? Is that what happened? Or no, that's the Carpenters Guild. I don't think I've ever actually been at level 4 with the Carpenters Guild. But anyway. Anybody else want me to take anything to Avernum? Sure do. Take that. Why not? Some hide. And some other hide. And that's probably all. Nobody's going to ask me to take like one thing. So we'll get one more stack of food just to be on the safe side. And then I guess we'll head out. Ah, it feels good to have the full labor back again. We'll try to swap over the workers for the slaves once again. Once we're back. Or once we have availability of more slaves. But for now, we'll just kind of deal. Whew, I can't believe, like, we had like 20 or so slaves, and I did, my heart sunk so much when I looked at our labor force, and I was like, we have 2 people left. Those worms, either the worms are I have 2 thoughts in my head. Either the worms are like the fastest creatures in the world, or like very sneaky, and they just like zip around and get inside your defenses and eat all of the people that are defenseless, or we have like the stupidest labor force ever, and they just kind of like wander the battlefield getting like smashed or eaten by various monsters. It happens more often than you'd think. All right, we made it to Avernum. And now the attempt to convince people begins. We can turn all of our missions in, which is grand. We should probably just sell the chitin here. $2.8. And we're selling it for... Oh, wait, sorry. No, yeah, we're selling it for cheaper. Well, we got this from killing the worms, so it's just free money, really. But I wonder if we were to take the chitin to Sadirar, do they like chitin there? Oops, wrong thing. Zoop. Oh man, they really do. Like, Torzag's is really the best place to take chitin to, but we're gonna be wandering around for a bit. So I think what I do, get all of the supplies we can. Now we have 20 days worth of supplies. That's pretty sick. Basically, the reason I wanted to do that is because I want to gun it straight to Sadirar to try and convince them to help me with the worms too, and then turn around and come back. Is there anything else we'd want to take with us to Sadirar? I don't think any of the trading houses would ask us to do anything, but we might as well check. Yep, none of them. So what if let's do a bit of old school trading here. Oh, there it is. I was like, I can't see it. So Avernum is best for metal. If we were to buy metal here... Oh, you actually lose money. That is pretty wild. But silver you could make a little bit of money on. But I almost think we should be buying the silver and just, like, hoarding it for ourselves because we need that for the Realm Gate repairs. And then iron as well. Alright, we're gonna buy a stack of iron and the silver, and we're just gonna take it with us. Let's check the Realm Gate repairs. Because we need 160 iron and 20 silver. We have all the oil already, so cross that off your list. But we still also need to get a crap ton of spectral residue. I wish you could just buy spectral residue from somebody. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me if that is a thing. I'm not aware of it. But let's go ahead and rest. Let's talk to Ailani now. Maybe after that meeting, she'll be like, good job. Oh, yes. Cool. Thanks to your efforts, the town bolstered its defenses. We got insight. Cool. That was a fine and brave thing you did there. Ailani nods. Tectum Carvos is in your debt, but I'm afraid we're not done. Not yet. The alliance to oppose the worm invasion has yet to be forged. And at the moment, you're the most suitable candidate to bring it together. The Beastmaster pauses for a moment, tossing her hair. Listen, I'm not really suited for tasks like this, but if you need any advice, just seek me out. I'm well-traveled if nothing else, and I'll do my best to help you. You thank Ailani for her offer. Any additional allies? Oh, that's a good point. We know that strange sorceress in the last oasis, and we're kind of buddies, I think. Do you think the Prince Faisal would care? He's on the other side of the world. Additional allies? The Beastmaster asks. You surely know of more opportunities than I, Vagrus. After all, I'm more of a loner, even though we're both well-traveled in this region. Perhaps there are mercenaries looking for work? Prince Karim tends to pay those who fight for him quite well. Or maybe there are other lesser-known factions who have a vested interest in protecting a desert? Oh, you know what? You can ask that strange sorceress at the last oasis if you haven't already. She seemed like the helpful sort. Okay, well, that's more than I had to go off of before. Thanks, Ailani. Are you upgradable now? Yes! Upgrade. Alright, what would we like to give Ailani? Beastmaster, power, poison resistance, and block seems really good. Die Hard? Meh, maybe. Elven Blood, initiative, evade, and resistances seems good. Resolute's okay. Stout is vitality, bleed, and block. And Wanderlust is bleed accuracy. I love accuracy. So maybe we get some perceptive. And then strong-minded. And elven blood? And block as well. Just kind of like all-round combat abilities. She still had 10 proficiency too. We need tough 4 to get the next step of stout, and then we're out of proficiency. So strong. So maybe we set up for Wanderlust, and then stout as well, and then Elven Blood requires strong-minded 3, which we don't have enough of anymore. So Sky Strike is pretty good. Oh, it knocks down their evasion, which is kind of cool. So maybe we take back strong-minded. Or no, wait. Wasn't that for Elven Blood? It was. Oh, it was the extra perceptive. Okay. So Sky Strike would take 10 proficiency. Okay, I don't think we'll be able to get that, unfortunately. Alright. Put strong-minded back on. And then why don't we get some extra stuff? Herb lore is for foraging base chance. So why don't we do that? We do be foraging a lot. And go ahead, get 1 charismatic. Sure. It'll just help with trading. Go ahead and end the day. Garrick is healed. And then get more slavers. We can ditch the workers. And we'll get back up to 25 fighters Exchange for news. And then, you know what? Get 3 more horses. 1, 2, 3. I like having my fighters have the ability to go full mounted in combat. I think it really helps. All right. I think we've sorted everything out that we can sort. So let's head out. I'm glad we were able to tackle the issue of being as undermanned as we were relatively easily. Oh, we don't have any scouts. Well, I ditched the scouts because I thought it would help with the labor crisis, but then I forgot to hire them again. We'll get them back. Don't worry. I think they were a little like I have a love-hate relationship with the scouts. But I think, you know, I was starting to come around on them. I think they do end up being useful. They definitely help avoid ambushes. Like so. A Yerg hunting party. Mount up. Well, first of all, before mounting, do your makeshift barricade. And then mount up until... There we go. I was going to say, only mount the horses that you need to fight. Then let's go ahead and cull their ranks again. We've been doing a lot of combat this mission. Excuse me, I thought I picked cull their ranks. Well. Oh, you know what? I hit it, and then I didn't hit activate. That's my bad. 3 giant Yerg. Don't bring Ren. We all know the deal. These are all warriors. Big beefy boys. Jump forward and swap with Elani, because I need Gorgoro to be able to break their armor. Double up Nadir's fireball. Smash this guy's armor. And then fireball him. And then I think she'll be able to kill him if she hits with both of her fireballs. Haha, nerd. I take it back. You're not a nerd. That guy's a nerd, though. All right. Oh, is this armor penetrating? It is. Okay. Throw a dagger at him and swap with... It didn't work. Throw a dagger at him and swap with Elani. Shoot. Nice shot. Well done. Spear. Double fireball. Man, when they have not great accuracy, but when they hit, they really hit. Oh, balls. 2 crits. That's not allowed. Take that, you. Right, swap with Gorgoro. Fire an arrow. Double fireball. The double fireball against big enemies is super nice. The block is a little annoying. We probably could have killed him this turn. Alas. Gorgoro takes 6 more damage than he needed to. We stunned him, at least. I guess we probably could have done that last turn and gotten away with that better. Instead of Elani killing the 1 Yerg. Oofta. Oh, and they got one of my guys. Rude. Disengaging. Pursue. Holy hell. I've just been coming out like on the wrong end of combat lately, huh? 10 guys got... 6 dudes died, if not more. Although we didn't get any horses. 8 guys died and 2 of my slaves. Good lord. We got all of the supplies, though. We could camp out here for an entire month. Astounding. Got +1 to vigor. That's nice. Harvick lost health again. Harvick's like one of the... I think I've seen it on Garrick and maybe Ren once or twice. But I feel like Harvick's the guy who gets wounded from just sitting around the most often. It's a rare occurrence that anybody else gets wounded from sitting around. I'm not going into the Grim Plains. I'm just going near the Grim Plains. Don't you worry, guys. I'm not crazy, he says. I'm just trying to go by the place here. Thank you. That you've told me twice in a row. I don't need to be told 3 times. I think it's better to go... Well, actually, it's 4-3 and then 3-4. So it's identical either way. So we'll just go up. And then we rest. And we've made it to Sadirar. No problem. Alright. We will visit the upper village, the Spirit Hall. Ask them to aid the battle against the sandworms. Also, the blessing of spirits would be nice, so let's do that. And then the sandworms. When Ekra hears of Tectum Carvos' plea from your mouth, he takes you before the council right away. There you recount what has been happening at the beleaguered town for a long while now, how you aided them up until now, and how they asked you to seek the wisdom of the Sadirar in the battle to come, hoping to invoke old covenants. The shamans sit motionless, listening to your words with growing concern. After an hour of deliberation in their native tongue, they summon you from a waiting chamber again. We have concluded that it is the bound duty of the Sadirar people to take up arms against a common enemy that has returned, the speaker of the Shaman Council announces, to the general approval of listeners and guests. This task was given to us by the great spirits, and the shamans are more than willing to bear the burden of a war against the slithering threat. However, the speaker lets it hang there for a moment. The silence inside the spirit hall is deafening. We are only bound to aid ones that have been made our kin, not by blood, but by spirit. You tell them that you have already been blessed by all the tribes, as well as earned the right to be heard by this very council. All true, the speaker replies, and yet not enough. To be our spirit kin, one must go on a spirit quest, and return to tell the council what occurred. The easiest way, and with this matter time is of the essence, is to ascend the Mount of Kor, and walk the path. Approving the murmurs echo in the smoky hall, Ekra steps to your side. I shall be the guide for the Vagrus, he announces, which is welcomed by ceremonial singing. Ah! Anyway, to do this, and our aid is yours, the speaker concludes. It is our way. Go to the mountain right now. You were given permission by the Council of Shamans at Spirit Hall to ascend the Mountain of Kor. Ekra shall accompany you, but even with his guidance, you might find the ascent difficult. Are you sure that you are ready? Ascend the mountain. Before the ascent, one needs to prepare for the journey, and so you are taken to the stone arch that symbolizes the beginning of the path. Beyond lies a barren, jagged mountainside, leading up and up until it is lost in the clouds, or is it smoke from the nearby fiery mountains? You are now a pathwalker, Ekra explains as he paints on your face the symbols required for a spirit quest on the Mountain of Kor. He himself will wear the markings of a guide. Guides are companions for the pathwalkers, he tells you. Our responsibility is to give advice and strength to the seekers, the ones on the quest. Shamans here often walk the path when in need of signs from the great spirits, or when they feel death coming. Friends of the tribe are seldom allowed to do so. It is a great honor. You ask him why the mountain here is so important. This is where the people encountered the great spirits and received guidance after the Sadirar emerged from their underground vaults. Kor was the name of the first shaman according to the legend, and since then it has become synonymous with the covenant we made with the spirit world. You carry on with the preparations. Ekra tells you that you can and should take something to the mountain peak to leave it there as a gift for the spirits. It is one of the traditions, he says. Pick something that has meaning to you, or what you want the spirits to see as connected to you. What will you take? Take a rare precious stone, the horn of a demon, a well-crafted weapon, a jade figurine, a pristine trophy. There's so many things. Let's take a well-crafted weapon. Once you make the decision, Ekra gives you a water skin and a walking staff. Then you pass under the stone arch. There is a strange sensation accompanying the moment you step on the path. It is as if you crossed into another world, although nothing changes to your surroundings. You begin to walk, following a track outlined by tribal signs and small totems. Ekra one step behind you at all times. Climbing the steep mountainside up to the peak will take most of the day. It is tough going, but we are tough and mighty and strong-minded, and we've done it. Hours go by at a snail's pace. You and Ekra make your way up the mountain slowly but steadily, conserving your strengths for the final stretches that promise to be the most taxing. On and on you climb. At length, after what feels like an eternity, you reach a plateau high above the mountain of Kor. You've been looking at your feet mostly up until now, so turning around and seeing the view from up here makes you gasp. To the southeast, the vast rolling desert appears under the horizon in a yellow haze. Turning left and facing east, you see the distant fiery glow of the tip of the molten tongue in the distance. To the northeast lie the cragged lands called the Grim Plains, and you can see a darker spot that must be the fabled Quathos at the far end of Turar Barak. But the west is closed off to your gaze by the gigantic mountain still rising up and up as far as you can see. The only change is that a faint orange glow seems to emanate from behind its vast rocky form, probably the light of the Iron Sea's lava. Here, Ekra says after you rest a while. You walk up to him and see that someone has left a handful of objects on a rock with a flat top. The spirits have gifts of their own to give, the guide says. Take one that resonates with your soul. There is a dagger fashioned from obsidian, scales made of bronze, and a map etched in soft leather. I love the idea of the map. Calling cannot be explorer, calling must be trader, and calling cannot be mercenary. Interesting. We get a pick of all of them. Let's take the map. You take the gift and Ekra nods. Let's go. The peak is still quite far. As you are crossing the plateau, you talk about the path and you ask Ekra if you can expect danger ahead. Pathwalkers are in no danger, he tells you. Guides? That is another matter entirely. That does not reassure me. You walk on in silence. The plateau starts to rise, and all around you, jagged standing stones cover the ground. Smoke floats among the rocks, obscuring the way ahead. The path then separates into half a dozen trails, and you discover an intricate tribal drawing on one of the large stones. Perhaps some sort of a riddle or a map of the many ways in front of you. You try to make sense of it. We did. You realize that the sun symbols are junctions, while the stars are turns and paths. After memorizing it, you take the optimal way to cross this maze of a section. Unfortunately, you have to begin climbing again at the other end. You keep ascending the mountain of Kor until you realize that you are among the clouds now. The air is very cold here, so stopping for too long is not recommended. The peak must be fairly close now. The fiery glow of the west paints the low-hanging clouds orange, and seeing anything has become difficult at best. Then, out of the fog, the orange light begins to take shape, much like a luminous floating liquid, and forms into a humanoid figure. Then another one, and another. Alarmed, you ask Ekra what these are, but upon seeing the guide's terrified expression, you know that something is very, very wrong. The lean, glowing shapes lunge forward to attack. You barely manage to get out of their way. Run! Ekra shouts, and you comply. He rushes after you while you trying to invoke a shamanic spell to repel the specters. But before he can complete it, he trips and falls to the ground hard. The horrors are closing in. We must help him. You leap at Ekra's side, yelling, and you swing your weapon towards the glowing shapes. To your surprise, this gives them pause, but several of them still manage to touch your arms, causing a strange drain, making you feel exhausted and slightly confused. Ekra gets to his feet and completes the spell, which does repel the spectral shapes. Thank you, he says, panting, and then grabs your arm and pulls you away and up the path. You can see that he is genuinely scared, but the specters do not return as you make your escape. At length, the fog begins to dissipate. You emerge out of the clouds and look back on a magnificent view. Beneath you is a gray-white carpet touching the horizon. The sun is setting beyond the mountain to the west, so darkness is already forming at the edge of the cloudscape. With stars twinkling in the forming void, you are now on the last leg of the ascent. With the peak visible several hundreds of feet above you, long banners are billowing in the cold wind, and the rocks are painted in the colors of the four great tribes. Exhausted, yet urged on by the closeness of your goal, you begin to climb, but after a few steps you falter. There is a sudden outside force, a terrible will pushing against you, holding you back. You force yourself to progress, but each step is becoming harder and harder to take, as if walking against a powerful gale. Doubt begins to take a hold of you. Ooh, do we want to push it? I think we're at the end, so let's go ahead. Closing your eyes and gritting your teeth and focusing on taking one step at a time, you manage to push through, and suddenly the strange will opposing you dissipates. When you open your eyes, you see that you have arrived at the peak. It feels like standing on top of the world. The peak of the mountain of Kor is surprisingly unimpressive. There is nothing here but rocks and constant chill wind. The banners flapping in the cool air are torn and old, and nobody bothered to repaint the old, colorful tribal symbols on the rocks either. Clouds block the view to the east, but the west is visible now, despite the smoke covering most of the land there. The cyclopean dark peaks of the mountains of fire stand threateningly, and the large lava lake in the valleys beneath what they call the Iron Sea glows with a hellish light. Here and there, metallic runes dot the view, forlorn melted dwarven cities, inaccessible thanks to the terrain and other dangers. As you are looking around, you begin to feel terribly exhausted, and suddenly cannot control yourself. In less than a minute, you sit down, then lie down, and fall into a strange slumber, and then into the dreaming. This is a long episode. You find yourself on the peak of the mountain of Kor, but it is night. The clouds beneath the east are there, the distant lava glow of the west is there, and the sky is full of stars. Walking around, you cannot find anyone or anything. The banners are gone, as are the paintings of the rocks and the charms and the totems. Nothing but the rocks. And then you are hit by the feeling that you are being watched. Looking around, you begin to notice an odd light coming from above, like flecks of sunlight. Following it upwards, your gaze falls upon what looks like gigantic versions of the specters in the fog, except that they are not orange in hue, but golden. Their faces are vacant, and the lower part of their elongated bodies disappear in the clouds beneath the mountaintop. They are looking down upon the peak. Are they looking at you? One of them reaches out a long hand towards you, and you involuntarily curl up on the ground. You try to scream, but no sound comes out. However, when the glowing golden hand reaches you, it halts, and the only thing you can feel is warmth, and perhaps a sensation not unlike kind worry. There is a flash of iridescent light. You can see a delicate white city under the starlit sky from above. Like a bird flying high, insane winds wreak havoc among its ruined streets, striking outward over a cracked landscape. The only place safe from the gale is a desiccated grove among crumbling white marble walls, a palace garden. You can hear a woman crying. You are hit by a sensation of betrayal, loss, unspeakable sorrow. There is another flash. You wake up with a jolt. You are not on top of the mountain of Kor, but in a bed in a small room with a fireplace. It is night outside. Welcome back. Ekra is sitting on the ground across from you. You had a powerful spirit dream on the holy mountain, and the shamans decided to bring you down themselves. This is by no means usual. He rises and gives you some tea. You ask him what happened. I am not sure, he says, sucking in air. You fell asleep almost instantly once we reached the peak. I don't know what you dreamed about. That is something you have to decide who to share with. Knowing that nobody is more qualified to interpret your visions than a shaman of the Sadirar, you explain what you saw. Ekra nods a couple times. Signs and portents, he tells you, of what is to come perhaps, and the ethereal entities? I would say that you were touched by the great spirits, but I do not wish to guess. And no doubt, and not everything has to be explained and analyzed and interpreted. Blessed is the word, for there is still wonders in it. I am both reassured and terrified by the mountain of Kor. Spirits walk near that peak, and we have learned that they must walk alone. Only when it is absolutely necessary do we commune with them there. As for you, you will definitely get what you came here for. You ask him what will happen. Ekra tells you that he is taking you to the spirit hall the moment you feel strong enough. Feeling no lasting effects of your haunting experience on the mountain, you go with him right away. There the council of shamans welcomes you, and you explain what you saw. They are unanimous in their decision. In the light of what happened at the end of your spirit quest, we are now convinced that the Great Spirit sent you to us as a herald of the face of a resurfacing menace, an ancient-looking shaman says, speaking for all of them. Oh, he should be older. Our people have to fight in this war against the worms like we did in past age. We honor your request and take as many of our warriors and shamans to Tectum Carvos as we can. Expect us there when you arrive. Now go with our blessing. They chant a somber song, and once they are done, you leave the spirit hall with Ekra. Your guide smiles. I'm glad that you got what you wanted, he tells you, but I'm as exhausted as you are. Rest now. The spirits tell me that this is just the beginning. You say your farewells and head back to the Comitatus. Sweet. All right. Rest. Cool. Well, that went really well. We got the Sanirar on our side. Let's pause the episode there. Next time we will go down to the last oasis and see if we can't recruit the sorceress to our cause. And then we will head back towards Avernum, over to Devon, down to Torzeg's, and then head up through Crystal, and then Larnak. And then that should be everybody, assuming we don't have to do anything special to get them to help us out. So, we'll leave it there. If you guys enjoyed, click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more Vagrus, the Riven Realms, or the other videos I have going on the channel, subscribe to the channel. That also helps me out a lot. But until next time, everybody, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!